Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me today at the WP Agency Summit. It's a pleasure speaking to you all. And my topic for today is powering virtual events to boost e-commerce. You can follow me on Twitter at MohsinLK. And let's start with a bit about me. My name is Mohammed Mohsin, and I'm a senior React engineer at RTCamp. We are a WordPress VIP agency based out of India and the US. Apart from working with React and WordPress, I also like to take long walks by the beach or to travel and explore the natural beauty of my country, Sri Lanka, and to read books. I also work with some clients as a freelancer, and one of them is Simpler. Today is a case study about a project that we work with Simpler. Let's set the premise for this project. Simpler has a number of clients, and one of them is a brick and mortar store based out of California who sells sewing equipment, sewing machines, notions, and everything related to sewing. And they had very low e-commerce sales, although they had a presence online. But the vast majority of the sales were in store, and they need demos for sales. So before a sale is being made, they need to demo the equipment or the sewing machine or the notion or whatever they were selling. They had to do an actual in-person demo to be able to convince the customer that the product was worth of being bought. So now they had to switch to video sales given the current COVID pandemic. So they had to do what these demo events were usually in person before COVID, and they had attracted about 500 people to the premises to show the events, show the demo the products being sold there. A large percentage of the annual sales came in a few days of this demo. And due to COVID, this became a bit of a challenge because they could not bring in 500 people to their premises to do these demos. So to mitigate the threat of COVID, we had to do Vimeo videos or live video, which was streamed using Vimeo. So they were hosted on the Vimeo platform and they were embedded onto a Gatsby site that we built. So the biggest part of this piece was this product card that we displayed by the video embed. So next to the video, that we had a product card which would swap based on the product being talked about. For example, let's say we were talking about a particular sewing machine, so that particular card will be shown at that time. And depending on the product, we can actually directly add the product to the shopping cart and then check out from there. So let's say the demo was talking about this Brothers Can and Cut sewing machine. So we would show that particular product next to the video, so the customer can actually directly add the item to the shopping cart. It's similar to an in-person experience where we would demo a product and the user can immediately buy that product. So we were trying to recreate that experience but online and virtually. After these live events happened, even with the shutdown and the COVID pandemic, we had, with a combination of WordPress and SEO to advertising and e-commerce, we had a lot of lead form submissions, which actually increased the overall sales. I think it's a great situation to be in. So the client was actually affected positively because of COVID in terms of sales, which is a huge win for any business to have, despite all the challenges that were going on with the pandemic. So the client was happy. Yeah, so it looks like a simple story, but let's talk a little bit about what went into the solution. So at the forefront, there was a Gatsby site at the front end, which had a video embed, as you can see here. And next to the video embed, there was the card that I was talking about. And below the video, we had a lot of the other products that were being talked about during the course of the event, which the attendee can scroll down to either add to the cart or to make a inquiry. And at the back end, we had WordPress and WooCommerce powering the store and for the CMS. Uh, the the front end and the back end were glued together by WordPress GraphQL plugin and the WooCommerce for GraphQL plugins, which supplied the data for the Gatsby site. And then we used Events Calendar Pro with another extension plugin, which is called QL Events, to power a calendar, which was actually used by another client before COVID to display the sewing classes that were being made. So this is a side point, which is not a part of the solution, but I just wanted to bring it up, where you can actually use an existing WordPress plugin with an extension to power up an experience which is mostly front end heavy. So I was talking about the cards that were there next to the video embeds. So these cards were actually using Firebase for real-time swapping of the card while the video was being played for the live video. So this is how the admin page we built for it. So the user could select on a radio button to show that particular product on the live video page. What about recorded events? So for recorded events, we would use ACF to select the time from which timestamp to which timestamp we should show which product. For example, if you can see here, from the 10th second to the 20th second, we would show a certain sewing machine by the video embed. And from the 20th to 50th second, we would show a different sewing machine next to the video that was being played. So because we already know what was being played and we have the context, we could exactly specifically select the times to show a particular product. So while the video was being played, the user can actually add the product to the cart. So how do we collect the information that I was talking to you about? If the product cannot be added to the cart immediately, the user would be able to send a request, which would be processed using Google Sheets, using a third-party API. And for checkout, we were using Stripe Checkout. Stripe Checkout is a new product from Stripe, which allows us to do the processing of the payment on Stripe servers and also on Stripe's own web pages. So we are taking the load of our servers or our pages, and we are giving that work to Stripe. And it also has a few additional benefits like fraud protection, and both the client and both the seller and the buyer are both safer when we use this method. And what about backend functions? Since Gatsby is a front-end framework, how do we process data on the server side? For that, we use Netlify Lambda functions. So Netlify Lambda functions are standard like serverless functions, which allow us to do all types of backend processing with Node.js function. So let's talk a little bit about a demo here. So this is how the demo video page looks like, a recorded video. So we would be able to select a particular video, and that particular video will be playing. And below that, we can see the rest of the products. And here we can actually add to the cart, or either add to the cart, or we can request information or add questions or comments to the form, which will be sent to Google Sheets. And as you can see, while the video is being played, we can switch the data or request information. The customer can request information while the video is being played. And you would see here next, the product would actually change on the side while the product being discussed is changing. So let's say the presenter talks about a different product, that will change the card next to it, as you just saw here. So we can add this sewing machine to the cart after listening to him talking about and marketing the product. So when the presenter speaks about a different product, you would see it changing. You would see it changing. Um, the card would change, and then like you just saw, and you can actually add to the cart, and then process the information there, like checkout and so on. As you can see here, this is the information that I requested with my details, and the store owner can refer to the Google Sheet and get back to the customer based on their telephone number or their email address and make a pre-sale conversation and actually sell the product. So this is how the solution works. And yeah, let's get back to the slides. So we were talking about Lambda functions, and yeah, now the demo. We just finished the demo. Let's talk a little bit about the solution, how it works. So we have content here. The content comes from any sources that you can think about, like Google Sheets or WordPress or WooCommerce or GraphQL API, the REST API, and so on. And then with the content, we also have a template. So from the template, we would connect it to the content that is coming and be able to produce a static site with the help of a static site generator. And then in our case, the content is WordPress and WooCommerce, and the template is React, and the data is coming from the content, like from the backend to the static generator using WP GraphQL, and the static generator here is Gatsby. So what is Gatsby? Gatsby is a React-based web framework which does static site generation. It connects to multiple APIs like GraphQL, Contentful, WordPress, and so on, like Airtable, Shopify, and many other APIs, even Google Sheets. You can build Jamstack sites with this. So Jamstack means JavaScript APIs and markup, which are static sites in essence, and which Gatsby can help convert your static site into an actual full-fledged React application that has React states to React hooks and so on. So yeah. So why WooCommerce? Why did we use WooCommerce here? Because WooCommerce is a very popular e-commerce platform that gives you complete control over your store. It is powering 42% of all online stores, which is a huge win for any WooCommerce user because it has been tried and tested over and over again. With WooCommerce, we do not reinvent the wheel because we just use the wheel that is already invented. Because most of the problems that a standard store would face, it has already been solved with WooCommerce. It's free and open source, so you can, of course, use the free and also fork it and customize it and modify it as you want. Clients are already familiar with WooCommerce, so there is no learning curve for end users, especially in our case, because they already had a WooCommerce store and we were leveraging the powers of WooCommerce with the powers of Gatsby in our case. So with Gatsby and WooCommerce, the main reason we use Gatsby and WooCommerce because it allows all these integrations to happen. Integrations here means with WooCommerce, with WordPress, with Google Sheets to Firebase and advanced custom fields, all the integrations were able to work seamlessly. Although it looks complex from outside, we were able to make it work seamlessly, even with Stripe checkout and even searching. We used another service, and also we used Apollo GraphQL for real-time connections. So this is a very simplified version of what we were talking about. Since I did not show you any code, so Gatsby WooCommerce theme by my colleague at Articam, Sagar. It will help you to get started with this setup with ease. So this is how it looks like at the front end. So you are able to add to the cart and it works like that. Okay, it's a very simplified version of what I was talking about. Let's talk a little bit about GraphQL, the technology. We were talking about the how and the why. Let's talk about the what. So GraphQL is a API which gives you exactly what you ask, unlike the REST API. It is an alternative, and it has a single endpoint as opposed to individual endpoints for each resource that you want. So with GraphQL, you are able to get multiple resources with a single request. Let's say you want to have the post, the featured image, and the author details. You would have one single request and not three different requests to get this resource. So WP GraphQL is WordPress on top of GraphQL. So GraphQL is an API, and we use WP GraphQL to expose WordPress data as a GraphQL schema. And again, it was created by Jason and sponsored by Gatsby because he works at Gatsby. So Jason is being sponsored to develop WP GraphQL and extendable via WordPress plugins. And then WP GraphQL and Gatsby. In our case, if you want to build using these two technologies, you would install WP GraphQL and WP Gatsby on WordPress and this node module on the Gatsby site to build such a site. So how do you start a Gatsby site? If you have node and npm installed, you would install Gatsby CLI globally, and then Gatsby new my site, and then change directly into that, and Gatsby develop to build with it. Yeah, so it was a pleasure speaking to you all. Thanks for having me today, and you can follow me on Twitter at MohsinLK. And yeah, RTCamp is always hiring. Check out rt.camp/join if you want to work alongside me. And yeah, goodbye. Thanks.